Today we are going to play a little game of Who Am I? So here's round one. I want people to worship the ground I walk on. Clearly I deserve it. Everyone should pay attention to me. They should all look at me when I talk. They should all laugh at all of my jokes. I'm just that smart and that funny, and everyone should be thinking about what I'm doing and what I'm saying and where I'm going. I should be the center of everyone's attention. Who am I? I think most of us would agree that this is a narcissistic person. Okay, round two. Nothing is ever my fault. Everything is always, I can blame it on someone or something else. Maybe it's, because my coworkers are so bad at their job. And so that makes me, it makes it so much harder for me. Or my family and my upbringing was just so bad. Or the neighbors, I can't believe I live in this neighborhood. Maybe it's because of the job I have, or maybe it's because of the friends I have. It's always someone else's fault that I'm not succeeding in life, or that I'm not doing, as well as I think I should be. No one around me can ever get anything right. Who am I? Again, another narcissistic person. So here's round three. I focus in on one person, and I want this one person to worship me. I want this one person to give me all of their energy, all of their time, all of their attention, all of their validation. They need to like all of the things I like. They need to laugh at everything I say, all the jokes I say. They need to tell me all the time how smart I am. They need to focus all of their effort on me. Who am I? Now I'm a covert narcissist. Round four, the last round. You have done everything wrong. You are the reason that everything has not gone right in my life. You are to blame. You can't get anything right ever. Things are not partly your fault. They are completely your fault. You are 100% to blame for anything and everything. Who am I? Again, a covert narcissist. I'm Renee Swanson, your host of the Covert Narcissism podcast. And today we are talking about the supply and the scapegoat. And I want to take a minute here and talk about this difference that I just laid out between overt narcissism and covert narcissism. Overt narcissists, in general, are more focused on a lot of people in their life. They walk in and they're the life of the party because they get the attention of everyone there. You've got 20 and 30 people now all focused on them. Everybody's laughing at their jokes. Everyone is listening to their stories. Their focus is spread out over a lot of people. They want the whole world to see their greatness. But a covert narcissist, they are more laser focused in on one person. They don't want the attention of everyone in the room, but they want your attention. You better be laughing at their jokes. You better be, recognizing the little inside jokes they say and laughing at them or acknowledging them. You better be focused on them. Now, the difference between overt narcissism and covert narcissism is not black and white. All right. It is not completely one or the other. In fact, most narcissistic people are a mixture somewhere in between this. So don't make this a black and white thing, but I want you to know in general this difference. Now let's talk about the supply and the scapegoat. Narcissistic people need these two things. They need supply and they need a scapegoat. And I want to define for you what this is and how it really plays out. So a supply is when you have somebody who, is like I said, worshiping the ground you walk on, giving you all of their attention and all of this. And the scapegoat is that someone to blame. But I want to dive in a little deeper on this. All right, covert narcissistic people zero in on one person. They become laser focused on you. What are you thinking? What are you doing? Who are you with? What are you saying? They have picked you out as the target of their attention, and as thus, your whole world must now center around them. If you are out together, with some other friends, you must make sure that you're sitting right beside them. You must be sure to hold their hand, or to smile at them, or to laugh at their jokes, or to cling to every word that comes out of their mouth. They have chosen you, and so you must give up your own identity to become an extension of them. Again, they don't want the attention of everyone in the room. They don't need that. They might believe they deserve it, but they also believe that no one realizes this, so they don't care on that. They are focused in on you. They are a constant victim of everyone else's ignorance, so instead, they just need your attention. Now, what is narcissistic supply? I remember the first time I heard this phrase, and I thought it sounded kind of harsh. I'm not a supply to him. That doesn't even make sense. He doesn't see me as a supply. A supply is something to be consumed, right? This is like an economic phrase, an economic term. And this is a relationship, not an economic transaction. There's no supply and demand here. At least I didn't think there was. But the more I watched, the more I learned about, relationships and emotional validation. And then I started learning about narcissism and covert narcissism. The more I paid attention to his interactions with me, the more I realized that maybe he did see this as a supply and demand relationship. I'm not even sure it was conscious on his part, but it was there. The transaction was an emotional transaction. I had all the supply, and he had all the demand. I had the emotional care and the empathy and attention and genuineness. I had all the goods, and he brought all the deficit. He brought the demand for emotional care and empathy and attention and genuineness. He even told me once that I wasn't allowed to pull away from him. In other words, I wasn't allowed to take the supply from him because he gets all of his emotional validation from me. That's what he said to me. And I told him, I said, hey, that's not fair. You shouldn't get all of your emotional validation from one person. That's not fair to that one person. You need to, spread that out some. You need to have some emotional support from other people. And, as you grow and mature in life, you should be able to start validating yourself. That's part of growing and learning. Well, this relationship was definitely built on the concept of supply and demand. No wonder it felt so transactional. It was. Narcissistic people need supply. And like I said earlier, covert narcissists, they just want one supplier. And they want all of that supplier's stuff. In farming terms, the consumer, the narcissist, they don't want to get their corn from multiple farms. They want to get it only from one supplier. But they want them to control that supplier. If they're going to get all of their corn from this farm, but then that farm, they can't have other people they're supplying to. No, you are only giving all of your corn to me. Okay, they want to control this. If they want to, tell you how to run your machines then because, I think you should do it this way and so you must run it this way. It doesn't matter if you know more about farming than they do. They then want to control what you're doing and telling you how to do things. You cannot give your corn to any other buyer. Well, you can't give your emotional energy to anyone else. You can't offer your attention and care to others without it being a problem. It doesn't matter that you're a caring and giving person. That doesn't matter that you know what to do to help other people emotionally. That doesn't matter. They want all of your supply. This includes your friends, your family, even your own children. Remember, the covert narcissist doesn't want to share you with others. Now, I said they need supply, and they need a scapegoat. So what is a scapegoat? Where did that term come from? I recently got to wondering that, and I thought, okay, I need to do a little research. Where did the term scapegoat come from? Well, did you know it comes from Christian literature? It actually comes from the Bible in the book of Leviticus. In Leviticus, the sins of the people were symbolically placed upon a goat, and then that goat was released into the wilderness. So that goat symbolically carried the weight of everyone's sins, freeing them from any blame, from any responsibility. They no longer had to take any fault for it, and freed them from the consequences of their actions. Well, that's a great deal for the people. Okay, we're going to talk about that. This word was first used by a Protestant scholar, William Tyndale, in the 1500s. Now, the scholar was translating the Hebrew Bible into English, and so that's where he created the phrase scapegoat. So it's a great deal for the people. They could sin all they want, and when the time came, they would lay all of their sins on this goat and release the goat into the wilderness. The goat would run off and they're scot-free. Scapegoating has continued today to be a phrase that means laying the blame and the responsibility for our crimes, our sins, our bad behavior, or anything else onto another person. I blame that other person, and now they have to deal with the consequences, not me. Well, this is a great deal for the perpetrator, but it's a horrible deal for the goat. I don't want to be a goat. This is ridiculous. How does this play out for the covert narcissist? They do the bad behavior. Okay, what does that look like? Yelling at you, shaming you, belittling you, calling you names, raging at the kids, slamming the door, locking themselves in a room, giving you the silent treatment for weeks. All of these bad behaviors, this antagonistic and manipulative stuff, and yet they blame it on you. Well, if you had not spilled the milk, then I wouldn't have gotten mad and yelled at you and called you all those names. What? Everyone spills the milk occasionally. Well, if you hadn't bought the wrong kind of cheese, I wouldn't have slammed the door. Well, tell me how that makes sense. Cheese and slamming a door. Those just don't go together in my book. Well, if you hadn't fussed at me about not picking my stuff up, then I wouldn't have raged at the kids. Okay, how in the world is that the kids' fault or the kids to carry that blame? You know, everyone gets mad at times. We all do. Everyone has these moments. But not everyone yells. Not everyone calls people names. Not everyone slams a door or rages at the kids. People get mad, yes. But people have a checkpoint on their behavior. I might get mad, but I have a checkpoint that stops me from laying that anger then onto other people. If I yell at other people, then they're going to feel bad, and I know that. I don't want them to feel bad, so I keep my behavior in check, and I find other ways, healthier ways to communicate my anger. I'm concerned about the feelings of other people, and so I want to protect them. Well, guess what? This is called empathy. This is what narcissistic people don't have, amongst other things, but this is definitely one of the big ones. They don't have empathy. They don't have a checkpoint that stops that impulsive behavior. They don't have a way to see how their behavior affects others. We all have impulsive thoughts. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. The moment where you're standing in front of somebody and you just want to scream at this person because you just can't believe they don't understand what you're saying. Well, that might be the covert narcissist in your life, but that's besides the point. We all have those moments where we just want to scream at somebody, get out of my way, I'm in a hurry, something like that. But we don't do it because we have a checkpoint inside of us that says, yeah, okay, I probably shouldn't react that way. I probably shouldn't do this. And so we find healthier ways to communicate. But covert narcissists, they can't do this. Now, I want to give you a really specific example here. Let's say that, you're getting ready to go out to dinner with your partner and you comment that, that shirt might not be fancy enough for the restaurant that you picked for tonight. It's a little bit higher class restaurant and that shirt might not be fancy enough for that. You've got other shirts that would look really good. And they become extremely defensive and reactive to your words. They jump in their car and aggressively drive to their apartment to change. Well, on their way, their aggressive and erratic driving causes them to get into a car accident. Well, now they are super mad at you because you didn't like my shirt. I got into an accident. Wrong. That is not why you got into an accident. You are allowed to voice your opinion about the shirt. You did not make them drive anywhere, and you certainly did not choose their mindset while behind the wheel of their car. Laying that blame on you, that's scapegoating. Now, this is the cycle that happens in a relationship with a covert narcissist. You are their supply. That's kind of how it starts, the love bombing and their hyper focus in on you. And you're just, you're practically worshiping them and falling all over them. And it's what we do at the beginning of relationships. We do everything in our effort to please this person. And so you are protected and cared for, and you're very important to this covert narcissist. But as you go through life, you realize that you're pouring a whole lot of energy into a bottomless pit here. And so over time, you quit pouring so much energy and so much attention into them. You pull away from that role of supplier. Maybe you realize this and maybe you don't. It is a naturally occurring consequence in an abrasive relationship. So you no longer are supplying that covert narcissist. Well, now you become exclusively the scapegoat. Everything is your fault and nothing is their fault. And this is a really, really painful way to live. This is the point at which in a relationship that people's eyes start getting open to this. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. But it's time to refuse to be their goat anymore. They are responsible for their actions and their behaviors, period. Not you. I hope this helps you to make sense of this relationship and the confusion of what's going on. Think about it in terms of that supply and that scapegoat. I wish you so much peace on your journey of healing.